Gabon has had a coup, with one of the country's top generals blindsiding the administration of the reclusive Gabonian president in a military revolt that ended a 56-year political dynasty. But there is more to this story than meets the eyes, and so many questions yet to be answered. How was a president that suffered massive strokes and was unable to make public appearances for years able to stay in power for so long? Was Gabon actually being run by the president's French wife? Was it a coincidence that the First Lady of Gabon came from an elite European financial family? And how was there a coup with essentially no violence? To understand why the coup happened, we have to talk about the backstory. For the past half-century, Gabon was led exclusively by the Bongo family. This family was considered to be one of France's most important allies in West Africa, and always had the support of the Western world despite certain improprieties, which we will discuss later. Ali Bongo is the most recent generation. He officially took over control of Gabon when his father, Omar Bongo, died in 2009, but in reality he was running the country for a long time prior. Like most leaders, he preached patriotism and the need to improve the country, but behind the scenes he had cut a lot of deals for Gabon's resources that were questionable, to put it lightly. Here's where it gets interesting. Ali Bongo was actually married many years prior into the French elite, which eventually made French national Sylvia Bongo the First Lady of Gabon. Coincidentally, her family was big in European finance and banking, so we have to ask, who was really pulling the strings in Gabon? It's suspected that as First Lady, she would broker deals with France, and her husband, President Ali Bongo, would make sure Gabon went along with whatever deal France proposed. This includes extracting resources and oil for pennies on the dollar. And the Bongo family was handsomely rewarded for their service. In fact, a French financial police investigation in 2007 found the Bongo family owned 39 properties in France. They had 70 bank accounts and 9 luxury cars totaling 1.5 million euros in value. And many people suspect that the Bongo family had far more assets than the auditors were able to account for. In the 15 years since the investigation, this could easily be in the billions of dollars. This arrangement with France worked until President Ali Bongo's health declined unexpectedly. He had multiple strokes, his cognitive health declined, after which he would rarely make public appearances. It's suspected that this left Sylvia and her sons in charge of running Gabon behind the scenes, with Ali Bongo being nothing more than a figurehead. Although Sylvia could handle French diplomacy, she quickly lost control of the ministers and the subordinates, who began to use their government authority to extort local businesses, which led to an exodus of business talent from Gabon. This was a complaint we heard from our African clients firsthand, and a reason why we never seriously considered Gabon for our investments. Gabon is a democracy, and despite rarely making appearances and often being incoherent, polling data projected the president was going to be able to secure a third term this year. This was the justification the army used, and led by General Bryce, they overthrew the Bongo regime and placed charges of high treason on many of the previous government officials. That this happened very quickly and with very little violence says to me almost everyone was tired of the Ali Bongo regime. The former president even released a video in English where he appeared to be confused about where he was and what was happening around him. These events obviously shook many of the current African leaders, who may be asking themselves tonight, are we next on the chopping block? And thus many of them have been quick to condemn the new government of Gabon. But within Gabon, it was impressive how quickly the new leader was able to unite the people and the army across ethnic and political lines, at least for now. At the moment, it seems that many people in Gabon are glad to see the previous government is gone, even though there's no way to know for sure how good the new government is going to be. So what can you expect? This new government is saying the right things, that they want to stabilize the country, get rid of corruption, open the borders early next year, and hand over power to a democratically elected leader. Now, if General Bryce can come through on his promises to keep government officials from exploiting local business owners, and if he can use the country's oil wealth to build up local industry and engage in value-added activity, he will instantly gain credibility with the people of Gabon, and everyone will benefit. However, if he gives in to the temptation of foreign money, it'll probably be business as usual.
Yeah, about the crisis in Gabon, nobody is quite sure if this whole coup was just a fake coup or was really something that the people wanted it to happen. But the bottom line is it's done with the bongos, right? And I think that people shouldn't be carried away to think that this is the people's coup. Because remember, the general, is it Bryce? Gema, he is also a cousin of Bongo. So it is still the Bongo's family in play. And one more thing we must also understand is that the junta have not say anything against the French. They've not come out to criticize the French. They've not come out to say anything negatively against France, which might only suggest one thing, that they are with France on this. Or maybe France saw the coup in Niger and France was really worried about what might happen to other French-speaking African countries, and France told this general to take power. Remember, this General Bryce is a cousin of Ali Bongo. So you can see they are from the same family, right? Power hasn't really changed hand. France is so shameless. And I have said it many times that France is so shameless. And I think that we Africans must start calling them out. All of us, we must start calling them out. France is so shameless. How can France work with Ali Bongo when France knew very well how fragile Ali Bongo was? France knew very well that Ali Bongo was someone who was very, very sick, and Ali Bongo mentally or physically was unable to rule Gabon. But yet still, they dealt with him. Yet still, they made many deals with him. Yet still, they welcomed him in France. Yet still, Macron was there to do a handshake with him and a cheek kiss with him. And do you know why they did all that? Because Ali Bongo allowed them take whatever they want from the country. Everyone knows that. Because Ali Bongo never challenged their rights in Gabon. Ali Bongo single-handedly handed Gabon over to them. And so the French did not find anything wrong with dealing with Ali Bongo. They did not. You ask yourself this question, right? If France cannot let someone of that nature to rule France, if France has made sure that their leaders do not serve more than 2 terms in office, how are they so comfortable dealing with African leaders who have been there forever? How come France is so comfortable and so less concerned about leaders who are changing the constitution of their country to allow them stay in power indefinitely? How France is comfortable dealing with these leaders? This is the question we should be asking ourselves. We must ask ourselves this question. France in Africa is a terrible, terrible thing. And our leaders have made it so easy for France to exploit us, for France to get away with whatever that France wants. Our leaders have been so chicken-minded, and they have totally sold out the country with us inside to France. It's really a pity, because we, the African people, are seeing all this and we are asking ourselves, why? Why are the people whom we elected to defend us, to speak on our behalf, to make sure that our interests as African people are being respected, are the same people who are selling us out to foreigners? How come? How come an African person will rather sell out his whole country just so he can be in favor with French or with the West? How come? How come? And how come a fragile person like Ali Bongo, who was seriously sick, how come does he still want to be in power? How sweet is the office of the presidency that he thinks that only he and him alone can occupy it? How come? And how come can the West see all this and just stay quiet about it? How come? How come? So, my brothers and sisters in Africa, we are on our own. And we all have to realize that we must fight for our freedom because nobody is going to fight for us. If we are going to get free, if we are truly going to be independent, we have to fight for it because no one will hand it to us. We have to grab it by force. No one will give it to us. No one. But you guys out there, what is your take on the General Bryce? Do you think that he is a puppet of France? Do you think that this whole thing, this whole coup in Gabon is just a preemptive measure to make sure that France still stay on top of things in Gabon? Do you think that France saw the coup in Niger and was like, maybe Ali Bongo is too fragile and it's better they put someone like Bryce, who is close or who is still a member of the Bongos, rather than somebody from the junior ranks staging a coup and taking the whole country to themselves? Do you think that all this might have just been pre-arranged by France? Share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section below because, like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, do not forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel because little bit of good way, like the one you're doing just now, help us a lot and shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.